let's talk LP tanks. Now the 13-foot and the 16-foot Scamp campers use what's called a 20-pound LP tank or 20-pound propane tank, which means that they hold about 4 gallons of fuel each. We get a little more than 1 season out of these 2 tanks here. We usually fill them up every season, and we'll talk at the end of the video how to save yourself a little bit of money when you're looking to fill up your propane tanks. These are your Scamp camper LP tanks, or if you have a 13-foot model, odds are you only have 1 tank. So these are the propane tanks. These are what is going to fuel your furnace inside your Scamp if you have it, your cooktop if you have a working one of those, and also your water heater if you have one of those in a Scamp camper. They're pretty self-explanatory. They're just propane tanks that are filled with about 4 gallons of the propane gas. They hook up here. And so it's pretty easy to undo your tanks when you got to switch them out. This just unscrews here, and I usually kind of set it off to the side, trying not to bend the hose too much. It is a rubber hose, but I'm sure over time it'll wear away and you just kind of replace it. But these hoses are still good on here, no leaks. Everything screws back on, nice and tight. This is the little clamp that holds them into place. This just unscrews here on this little clamp down. Just basically unscrews. And you don't have to take it off all the way. I usually go about 3/4 of the way up, stopping there. Then this just kind of lifts out and you can remove your tank from there. And when the bar's up, you can remove either tank. Your LP tanks, tighten it back down. I usually go pretty tight with these just for the simple fact that I'm bouncing around a bit on the road, so I want to make sure that they're pretty tight on there and they're not going to go anywhere. Directly behind that, so right here is your selector gauge. Straight up and down position is actually just a secondary off position. So if you forget to turn off your valves here at the end of a trip, but you have this in the off position, hopefully no gas is getting up the lines. But if we wanted to use this tank right here, we would just take this selector and move it over. And when you hear that little click, it's telling you that you're going to be taking from this tank. Or we can go the other way, over into that one. Now we'll be taking from this tank. What I've heard is if you're having any trouble with fuel leaking, it's more than likely going to happen on this outside line here, because this is what's exposed to the weather. I'm sure eventually the inside ones would rot away too, but you just want to check this at the beginning of every season and make sure it doesn't seem brittle or if there's anything leaking. So turn on your gas from both tanks before you leave on your first trip of the season. And this little gauge right here is supposed to tell you how full your LP tanks are. It doesn't do that great of a job, as both of these tanks are completely full, and it only works when you've selected that said tank and then turned it on all the way. And maybe you can see it's risen a little bit more into the green, but I know that both of these tanks are full, so that should be all the way green. So there are specific businesses that have much better deals when it comes to filling up your propane tanks than others. We have 3 LP tanks, 1 in our grill at our house and then 2 on our Scamp camper. Some will charge you just for an exchange, so you're getting a whole new tank, it's already been filled up. Some of them are looking to just fill up your tank from whatever it's at, and they charge you a flat rate of say $25 or $30. Now there are businesses, which is our preferred way to do it, these businesses only charge you by how many gallons you're actually putting back into the tank. So if you have a 4-gallon, 20-pound tank, and they're only having to fill up 3 of those 4 gallons, then that's all that you're being charged for. So at the end of the day, we can fill up all of our propane tanks, the one that we have at our home grill, the 2 that we have on Scampy, all for less than $40. And before, we were spending about $60 to $80 to have all 3 tanks exchanged or filled up from those other companies that just charged you a flat rate. So again, folks, this has just been another Let's Talk. If you've got other questions about propane tanks, or if there's things that you want to know specifically that you want to see us film about Scamp campers, put it down in the comments section. We hope that this was super helpful for you and gets you out on the road traveling in your Scamp camper. Until next time, God bless.